Hey everyone, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and today I'm checking out the Hollywood Choirs Diamond Edition from EastWest. Hollywood Choirs is a great sample-based choir instrument that not only produces really realistic-sounding sampled choirs, it also has a really awesome word builder in it that allows you to build your own custom text for the choir. So you're not just having to rely on simple ahs and oohs anymore. And it has a whole plethora of other features as well, like 13 different mic positions, at least in the Diamond Edition, there's 13. So before I get into this, and let me get too deep into this, let me show you a quick example of what Hollywood Choirs can do. So out here I've got some storm drums just for rhythm, and then I've got layered men's and women's choirs all singing in Latin. So here you go. Yes, that's really cool. It sounds really realistic. It sounds really awesome. And again, like I said, I'm layering both the men's and women's choir along with sort of like a lead with some different text. Again, all in Latin at this point, but you can type in just simple English as well. So let's actually start from scratch. Let me just pull out the Play plugin. And the way you load this up is just like any other software instrument. You go up to your instrument plugin and you go to Play, which is the EastWest's sample player, instrument player, if you will. We go over to browser. We can choose whatever instrument we want. For us, it's going to be the Hollywood Choirs Diamond or Gold Edition, depending on which edition you have. And you can still do simple choir things. Like, let's say I want to use a women's choir and I want to use just vowels and I want just an ah. So this is a women's epic ah vowel. Or maybe I want a staccato sound. Let's try this ooh staccato. So you can do simple things like that, and you can do it with both women's choir and a men's choir. However, really the shining feature of the Hollywood Choirs plugin are these settings that say women WB multi and men's WB multi. These are multi-sampled, well, they're all multi-sampled, but multi-sampled instruments that use the word builder feature. So that's what the WB means. So let's load up the women's word builder patch here. It may take just a moment to load up. Okay, so it loads up all these different patches, all for this one instrument. And from here, we can click on player. This brings us to the player. And then from here, we can click on word builder to take us to the word builder. Now, you can type in words in 3 different ways. In English, just plain English, phonetics, which is sort of like a phonetic spelling. By the way, if you click on this little plus sign here, it'll give you sort of like a guide for phonetic spelling. And there's Votox, which is sort of like I guess it's like a phonetic symbol. I typically will work in English, and then you can go and alter things in phonetics and Votox if you want. So let's type in something just in plain English. I'll do something just kind of corny. I'll just say, hey, everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy. Same thing I say at the beginning of every single video I make. And let's see what this sounds like. I'll just play it on one note, and let's see what the English sounds like. Okay, so everyone got basically pushed into one word. So I can say every, or I can say ever E1. And it's probably going to say Y is like Y. Yeah, so we may want to spell this a little bit different. So it's going to say I1 now, so let's try E. And really, I should say, hey, everyone. So music needs to be split up as well. Let's try playing some chords with this. So I find myself breaking up words to make them sound correct because you can't just simply type them in. So this is really cool though, that you can do this even with the little bit of editing we've had to do. I really didn't even have to go in and play with the phonetics or the votox at all, but you can go in and play with those as well. I just find it easiest to work with just plain English and then just break up the words to make them sound the way I want them to sound. Now, another thing you can do is you can import different phrases in different languages. So if I click on phrases here, we can search a whole plethora of English, German, and Latin phrases. In the original example, one of the ones I used was this Dies Irae example. Then I took this Dona else Requiem and I altered it to Dona et Requiem as opposed to else Requiem. Let's try some English. Let's try a force of evil so dark. Let's give this a shot. So that's really cool. Let's try another one. One thing to keep in mind is if you add another phrase, I'm going to say the armies have fallen. It says a force of evil so dark, the armies have fallen. It adds the extra phrase on top of it. So if you want to completely get rid of that phrase, you have to go select that text and delete it. So I'll go back and we'll say the armies will rise. The armies have fallen. There we go. Let's give this a shot. So that's really, really cool. And there's certain words that will sound better than others. Another cool thing we can do here is over in this area, this is the time editor. What you can do is you can select individual words or syllables, and you'll see that syllable broken up into its various components. Like just len of fallen is an L, an E, and an N consonant. And what it does is it layers these different elements so that they sound natural. So for instance, if I solo this, we'll just hear the len of fallen. And what you can do is you can take, say, just the L, and maybe we want to make that shorter, the L of len. So we can hear more of the of the E sound and less of the L consonant sound. Or I could say have, the word have. We have H, A, and V. And we can pull these elements around. Maybe I want the V to come in a bit more. And you can also fade these as well. You can like create different cross fades for them, and you can adjust the fade. Oops, let me choose have and solo have. And we're not really hearing the V of have as much because we faded it down and we moved it forward. But if I pull it back, we'll hear more of that consonant sound. Still kind of subtle, but it's more in there. So this is the time editor. There we go. There's a really hard V sound. And if we unsolo this, we can go back to the full sentence. And there you go. So you could type in like literally the entire text for a song in here and play around with it. The only problem, again, is that if you start the phrase like the next thing it's going to say is army. But when you hit play, it resets the text. So for instance, in my example here up top here, I had this sort of lead phrase saying Dona Dona et Requiem. And then it repeats. All right, so now I've got just a men's choir pulled up. I'm back in the player window. You've got your volume envelope, your AHDSR envelope, some MIDI sensitivity controls. You've got your master output controls. But what I'm really concerned with here is this area right here. In the Diamond edition of Hollywood Choirs, there are 13 mic positions. So that you've got some close mics up on the stage. You've got some far left and right stage mics. You've got your Deca-tree in the middle. You've got some mid mics out in the audience, and then you've got some surround mics in the back. Now, you can mix these using this little mixer down here. You can also pan them in different directions if you like. So let's say let's hear what this sounds like with main. So the main is the close mics, the far left and right, the mid, and the surrounds. But maybe I wanted a more direct sound and I just wanted to hear the close mics on stage. We could switch over to just the close mics. Or maybe we just wanted to hear the mid mics from the middle of the room. Or a more sort of distant miking position, the surround mics. Or we can go back to main, and then we can mix these. So maybe I want to hear less of the surround, less of the close, but more of the mid mics. Or for a more distant sound, less of the close, more of the surround. Now, there's also a reverb built in. There's several different impulse responses. Let's try this live cathedral reverb here. So it's a little more ambient than the previous option I had on. There's also a stereo double option, and what this does is just thickens the tone of the choirs because it's a stereo double. It's a like layering an additional layer on each voice. That's really cool as well. One thing I wanted to point out too is in the mixer view, if you can basically see all of the various components of your overall multi-timbral instrument. But if you click on the effects here, you can see a few effects units that are optional as well. You can see that EastWest is paired with SSL to model an SSL EQ as well as an SSL stereo bus compressor. There's also sort of like this, like almost like a distortion unit sort of thing here. And then there's also like an amp simulator if you're intentionally wanting to have like a distorted amped sound for your choir, which I can't really see a use for that. But if you're into distorted voices, I guess that would work. You can kick in your EQ here. You can kick in the compressor here. And you can also change the reverb from here as well. And that was just a duplicate of what we saw over in the player right here. All right, so overall, I'm very, very impressed with what this plugin can do. I know I'm going to be using it a lot. It will take a lot of sort of tweaking to get the right sound and the right pronunciation that you want to build out an entire song. My recommendation would be that once you get everything the way you want it, print it to audio so you no longer have to rely on MIDI anymore, but then keep a copy of the MIDI as a backup in case you decide to go back and change anything. Because then you can just mix in the voices into your composition just like an audio recording and not have to worry about, restarting certain words at the right point in time and everything. That's my review of the EastWest Hollywood Choirs Diamond Edition. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.